What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Second video of the new year. I've been this month and a half sickness throughout the house. It's just finally gone and I can finally actually talk and get a video out. And an article came through my radar today, my Twitter radar, from my good friend Pippin Williamson, who released his 2018 breakdown. And he's been doing this now for like 5 or 6 years, giving us that inside baseball of what it's like to run Sandhill's development. And this post has really moved me for many reasons. Number one, it's great to see Pippin so vulnerable and exposing so much of the business, to see the team's growth, to see where things have fallen, to see numbers, to see reasons why, hypothesis, and what they're going to change for the new year, for the upcoming year. It's all very awesome from a technical business perspective. And then there's that sort of personal side where you can kind of see how this affects his life and the decisions he's making in life. And then third, it's just how it affects the company and how it affects other people, not just the product, but yeah, the other humans that are helping him build this business. And it's really just made me think, like, any book that you've read in 2018 about starting a business, or if you're reading a book right now about starting a business in 2019, throw it all away and go read this post right now. It's a movie, it's an action movie, it's a drama movie, it's a thriller, it's a business book. It is an emotional roller coaster ride, not just for what you'll read Pippin's take on all this stuff, but you as maybe a potential founder, maybe somebody who's been running a business for a couple years or just about to get into it. I want you to read this and think of your own thoughts, think of your own experiences, and maybe how you've even fooled yourself to shut out some of the stuff that Pippin's talking about today. So this is like hot takes on somebody else's review. This might be like a new YouTube thing. I don't know. Let's just dive into it. So the first thing you want to look at is, from the outside, if you're just passing Pippin at a WordCamp or another tech event or something like that, you might be like, hey, there's that successful guy. He built a WordPress business. It's sizable. It's doing multi-millions of dollars a year. By all accounts, he is successful, and he is. And you just look at the numbers, and if you're just breezing through, you're like, yeah, hey, this is fun stuff. I want to be like that. But what you have to do is dive deeper into this post and look at where either you've been in the last couple of years running your own business, or where you're about to embark on to start your own business, and really look at the emotional factor and try to figure out how you can approach business so that it doesn't burn you out. See, a lot of people talk about scaling and systems and hiring and marketing and automation and all of the tech, of course, building the product itself. But nobody really talks about, managing your own expectations, your expectations of expectations. It's, this thing where you're in the weeds, you're building a product, before you know it, you come up for air and you're like, I am sick of this. And this happens to everybody. It happens to me many, many times. It's happened to, I'm sure, some of you out in the audience. And it's really about, nobody's preparing you for the burnout phase, the plateau phase. What do we do next? How do I stop myself from getting so vested in the business that everything takes this emotional toll? And I don't have the answers today, but if you have answers, go ahead, drop them in the comments below. But the only thing I've been able to tell myself over the years is, this is a game. Like, I have to approach it like a basketball game, a football game. This is one game out of many games, out of a long season, out of a long many seasons, and hopefully, we find success, throughout the whole entire race. The cliche things like, this is a marathon, not a sprint kind of thing, that comes to mind. But I approach every single day as just another quarter in the game. Like, this is just another piece of the game. And I know that there will always be a downturn. So this is why I really like this post, because he does talk about this emotional roller coaster ride, whether he didn't, intentionally talk about it that way. But you go through this upswing of, we're growing, we're hiring more people, we're expanding the product line, and yeah, we're seeing some products go really, really well. We're seeing some, take a little bit of a nosedive, and here's why, and here's how we might rectify that. But then it goes into, wow, all of a sudden now I'm building this other business over here. It's a brewery, right? Now let's just pause for a second. We've all been there. Maybe not thinking about building a brewery, but we've all been there to chase another idea. And to me, and I talked about this in the last video, in fact, that we posted here about sort of exercising these ideas first, it could be something inside of us as founders, as creators, right? As somebody who likes to create something out of nothing, it could be like this defensive maneuver to ourselves, right? And we justify it by saying, well, you know, I have to diversify my company. I have to find new streams of revenue. I'm really interested in this thing, and I think I can really do it way better than somebody else. I'm gonna take all this knowledge from this other business and drop it off over here. And while I believe that is all true, as again, somebody who has convinced himself of this stuff for many years, that it is a bit of a defensive maneuver, right? You are switching gears and you're saying, look, I don't want to deal with this problem thing I have over here anymore. It might not be a problem. It's just something that's just weighing on you. It's just not going the way you want. It's not growing as fast as you want. And maybe you're just kind of sick of it. And that kind of sick of it thing, like that's what drives entrepreneurs and that's what kills entrepreneurs all at the same time. Now, Pippin might not like me talking about him in this fashion, and I totally respect it. And Pippin, hey, if you want me to delete this video, I'll go ahead and delete it. But I think that's what it is. So Pippin talks about this journey of going ahead and creating a brewery, which I think is an amazing thing. And he talked about in the post that, hey, this was enlightening. I was able to take a step back from, you know, being in the weeds of the web technology that I'm building every day and actually leverage that muscle for my own brewery. I think that's phenomenal. I always say that if I ever were to throw away everything I do in technology, I'd become a landscaper and I'd have, you know, an amazing website, you know, mobile application, be responsive, be SEO, all this stuff. But it allowed him to take a step back and say, you know what? I'm going to pursue this other passion of mine that I'm sharing with my family, my brother, more directly. And it's going to give me a little bit of a time off to not have to be so weighed down by all things Sandhill development on the web, which was good, and as we read, very bad. At the tail end of that, one of his longest co-founders in the business, his good friend, said, this is not for me anymore. I don't want to do it. I found another opportunity, and I'm going to leave. And I have also been in the same position where people you have really counted on in your business leave to go do something else. There was no, you know, maybe there was some emotional things there between the two of them, expectations that weren't fully met or whatever. But at the end of the day, when you're hiring people with the same charisma as you, these are things that are going to happen. And I'm saying that, I could be totally wrong in this scenario, but for the most part, other people that you're hiring have the same expectations of themselves, for the most part, that you do. And you can't fault people for leaving. While it hurts and while it stings and while it can really put a massive bump in the road, you have to prepare for these things. I'm not saying Pippin wasn't prepared for it. Obviously, the business did not crumble. But the idea is, when you approach these things, you really have to be ready for anything can happen. The economy can crash. WordPress could be sold. Your favorite, you know, employee who does everything for you leaves. And a lot of my close friends are really going to hate this reference right here. But when you watch Tom Brady with 2 minutes left in a game, down by 4, you're like, this dude is not, how is he going to come back? There's so much momentum for the other team, and he's decisive. He's calculated. There's a game plan, and he moves and he executes and he ties the game, brings it to overtime, and they go to the Super Bowl. This is the same thing that folks that are running a business have to prepare for. On one hand, you have to really enjoy the fact that you can create a business, have flexibility, create yourself an awesome income, you know, if things are going well. And at the same time, that same flexibility, that same thing that gives you this, you know, something out of nothing can always crumble. You can always lose a chunk of it. You could always lose all of it. And I think, again, to really hammer home the value of this post, it's not even just like, look at the money that they're making. Look what's not working, and let's look at how they're going to change that, and how are they approaching marketing. It is a story arc of things can be amazing, things can be super stressful, and then, oh, by the way, the icing on the cake in this story, and maybe that's not a good phrase, but the personal problems that can crop up. We talk about, or Pippin talks about, how there were crop fires in the Kansas area where it was going around his family's house and property. And it was the most stressful thing he has ever witnessed and been through. And that's just like a whole other factor that they're not teaching you in business school or business accelerators. No one's saying, oh, by the way, when you're done with your taxes and you get your new accountant, there's gonna be a basement flood in your house. It's gonna take out your entire, heating system and all your valuables that you put in your basement. And since you're the only one running the company, you're gonna be the one that's gonna be down there in the basement taking care of all this stuff. People aren't preparing you for that. That's why I think this post is simply amazing. And you should really check it out. I'm gonna put it in the comments below and in the show notes below. Let me know what you think. I mean, there's just so much in this post of a story arc and a roller coaster ride that I hope a lot of people appreciate Pippin's vulnerability and his openness and his transparency in this post. What do you think as a founder? What's the hardest thing you've ever gone through running your business? How did you overcome it? How did you tackle it? Did you pivot? Did you get a new job? Let me know in the comments below. It's MattReport.com, MattReport.com/subscribe to join the mailing list. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you want more information like this. Check out the podcast. We do a lot of amazing interviews there. Had some amazing interviews at the tail end of 2018. Have some amazing interviews coming for 2019. And I'm gonna be expanding beyond the WordPress space as a new sort of venture into 2019. I hope you enjoy that. Hope you join me for the ride. Leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. We'll see you in the next video as I choke.